please, can you just say hello, Dr. Lina? I can't see you. I'll start ringing bells. I want to talk to you about how to beautify your study gap so that you can turn it into a very awesome flower that everyone is going to want to have so that they can keep it in their office. Study gap can destroy your admission if you don't know how to position it. However, if you learn how to position it, you can convert it into a beautiful flower vase that the admission committee, once they see it, they will love it and they will go for it. Hello, how are you doing today? Welcome to this my video session. How are you doing? Please, can you leave a comment? I want to know that you were here. And the easiest way to do that, leave comment for me. Say, hello, Dr. Linda, so that I can greet you. Anyway, so in this particular session, we'll be talking about study gap. Do you have study gap? Is it more than 1 year or 2 years? Let's just say, is it more than 2 years since you graduated? That is a study gap. If you have more than 2 years since you graduated, that is a study gap. Some people are afraid of this study gap, especially let's say when they have things like 10 years study gap, 14 years study gap, 12 years study gap, 7 years study gap, 8 years study gap, 2 years study gap, 5 years study gap. My dear, I want to talk to you about how to beautify your study gap so that you can turn it into a very awesome flower that everyone is going to want to have so that they can keep it in their office. By the way, do you love my flower? Yes or no? Type. Whether you're watching it as a replay or you're watching it live, do you like this flower? Yes, I like it. No, I don't like it. Comment. Do you like this one? Because I want to teach you how to turn your study gap into a very nice flower that everybody is going to want, right? If you're watching me right now, how many years study gap do you have? So if you graduated more than 2 years ago, you have study gap. The question now is, how many study gap do you have? So let's say this is 2021. Let's say you graduated 2015. Now you have 6 years, 5 to 6 years study gap. Let's say you graduated 2014 and this is 2021. Now you have 6 to 7 years study gap. So how many years study gap do you have? So now one thing you have to understand is that first secret I want you to keep in mind today. When admission committee abroad are admitting students, right? When they are admitting students, they try to incorporate diversity. Watch that word, diversity, into the group of students. Every cohort, the admission committee crave to create diversity. How do they create this? Like, for example, all the people admitted, cannot all of them just be Chinese. All the people admitted, cannot all of them just be Nigerians. All the people admitted cannot just be Canadians. It has to be a mixture. So let's assume that 100 Canadians applied, 10 Nigerians applied. Let's assume. Right? Even if the top students are all Canadians, they will not take all of them like that. They will always leave space to include the other set of people. So let's say all the people that qualified are all female. They're not going to take all female. Because if the class is all female, it's not going to be interesting, right? So they're going to take lots of female though, but they will take some male, right? So they always try to create diversity so that there's not just one of everything. This like I can keep giving you examples. Same goes for study gap. Like how many years ago you graduated? In a class, admission committee aim to admit both people who are just coming from university that year, meaning maybe their result is even still in view. They are going to graduate just before the school starts, right? They take those people. They take people that have like 1 year, 2 years since they graduated. They also aim to take people who graduated a long time ago, because those people bring what they call industry experience. So admission committee go out of their way to handpick people that have study gap. Meaning, specifically, they are looking for people with industry experience. So let's say somebody finished undergraduate and went to go and do their masters, and they're applying for PhD immediately, right? You finished your masters 7 years ago. You have been working, and now you're going for a PhD. When they take some of those people that are coming straight, they will also take people that have worked in the industry so that they can create diversity in the class. That is how it works. Now, how does this relate to the person who has study gap? What that means is that they are also looking for somebody like you. That one is for sure. So, your biggest task is not, your biggest challenge is not the study gap. Your biggest challenge is showing that your study gap was wisely used. Your study gap was well used so that, like, in a way that it brings something to the table. Let me give you an example. So let's say, let's say you have you're public health personnel, and you finish your masters, then you went on to work with an NGO, you are doing public health on the field. I'm just giving an example. And now you're coming back for PhD. What is going to happen? You are going to be an asset to the school that is taking you, because you not only know about public health based on theory, you know public health on ground. Sometimes it's not straightforward, because some people are going to say, what if my study gap, I didn't use it in my area of study? Let's say you finished public health, you went on to do business, and now you're applying for MBA. You have even extra diversity. Or you went on to do business, and now you're coming back to do your PhD. You will have to actually show that you want to, your biggest task is to show that you were doing something meaningful within that period. Since you graduated till now, that you were doing something meaningful. And so what that means is that your CV is going to make or mar your admission. Your CV is going to make or mar your admission. The study gap is not what is going to kill your admission, right? But it is what you did with it, but not just what you did with it. What you wrote on your CV that you did with it. I've seen people that have study gap and they don't even include anything. Like, you see somebody that has study gap, they were doing something meaningful, but on their CV, there is study gap, and there's nothing showing that they did anything. Because it's your CV the school is going to use to know you. You know? So, at Vantage Scholarship School, we go the extra mile to show you how to do your CV so that despite your study gap, when the admission committee see you, they will say, these are the people we are looking for. They will pick you and add to the class so that they can create diversity. So you can be doing anything with your study gap. I don't care. What matters most is how you position it. Some people, they don't know how to position their study gap. They don't know how to position. This is the secret. You did when the school replied you and said that you have study gap, blah blah blah. What they were actually getting to is that you have not convinced them. You have not positioned yourself well that your study gap was spent meaningfully. You can learn how to do this at Vantage Scholarship School. At Vantage Scholarship School. So today specifically, I want to talk to all those that have study gap. What's up? I'm talking to people that have study gap that think that their study gap is a disadvantage. No. What I'm actually telling you is that you can beautify your study gap. You can beautify your study gap so that it looks as awesome as this flower vase. So that when the admission committees, they see you, they'll be like, oh, you are the one we're looking for. They'll pick you and add to the people they've accepted to create diversity in the class. I will bet you no admission committee will admit people for graduate studies in such a way that all of them just finish school. No. It's not going to work. Because when the conversations are happening in class, they need people who will contribute meaningfully. Most times, you are able to do so when you have industry experience. It does not mean that if you graduated today, you can't apply for masters. human beings, I know that somebody will be thinking like that. Does it mean that I should go and wait until I have study gap? No. Because admission committee is also looking for somebody like you. So if you don't have study gap and you want to apply, perfect, that's good. If you have study gap, you cannot unhave, like, let's say you have 10 years study gap. Can you rewind the clock? No. So what you'll be working towards is utilizing the study gap, turning it into an advantage. But if you don't know how to go about it, if you don't know how to do it, I bet you that study gap is going to be the reason why you will not be admitted. So, study gap can destroy your admission if you don't know how to position it. Study gap can destroy your admission if you don't know how to position it. Okay? Hope you heard what I said. Study gap can destroy your admission if you don't know how to position it. However, if you learn how to position it, you can convert it into a beautiful flower vase that the admission committee, once they see it, they will love it and they will go for it, meaning they will admit you, right? I've had people 45 years, 50 years getting admission. So you, and of course you can imagine when they finish school. So you are not an exception. In a good way, you are not an exception. There are people who have the same challenge that you have. They've gotten admission, they've gotten scholarship, they've gotten masters, they've gotten PhD, they've gotten PhD. So don't allow yourself to give yourself an excuse that will prevent yourself from moving forward in life. So somebody was saying, what if you have study gap but you are into business? Yeah, how about you apply for a business related program? For example, if you have study gap and since you graduated, let's say you studied biology, you graduated 10 years ago. Within that 10 years, you'll be doing business. Do you really want to go back and do masters in biology? Unlikely, except you have a biology-related business, right? So, in that case, you probably want to do something that will enhance the business you're already doing. True or false? True. So, a business-related program will be very appropriate for you. And if you're going for a business-related program and you have let's say you study biology, you've been doing business, you're going for a business-related program, you will be the best person qualified for that program. That's what I'm saying when I said that you need to position it. Whether it is what you're writing on your CV, whether it's the program you are going for, whether it's the references that you are using, the positioning is what is going to turn that study gap into an advantage. So let's say you studied biology, you graduated 10 years ago, you've been doing business for 10 years. You said today, now you wake up today, 10 years after, you want to go and do masters in biology. Already, you have positioned yourself poorly. Already, you have positioned yourself poorly. And that can be the reason you won't get the admission. You see what I'm saying? So when I say positioning yourself, it's not simple if you don't know how to do it. It's not simple. If you think that you just grab what I said that you run with it, good luck. Good luck. I wish you luck. But if I were you, I will come to Vantage Scholarship School. I will learn exactly how to do it. I'll be able to ask questions as it relates to my case, have consultation if need be, even if it's over the phone consultation if need be. Get it right, do it once and for all, and get the advantage of your study gap. Instead of doing tim-bum, you're wasting more time. Wasting more time on top of the study gap that you already have. Juliana said, I have 13 years study gap but not doing anything. What should I do in this situation? I can bet you that you've been doing something. You just don't know what you have been doing. When you come to Vantage Scholarship School, you will understand how to leverage your skills. There is nobody on the surface of this earth, I stand to be corrected. There is nobody on the surface of this earth that all they've been doing for past 13 years is when they wake up, they sit like this. When it's lunchtime, they open their mouth, food will enter. Then they will stay like this. When it's dinner, food will enter. Then they will sleep. When they wake up, they will not even go to the toilet itself. In the morning, breakfast will come. Is there anybody on the surface of this earth that is their situation for 13 years? Except you're in a vegetative state where you are lying in coma. Let's ask people, do you think there is anybody on the surface of this earth who for 13 years all they did was fold their hands, open their mouth, food will enter and they will chew. That man, they don't even chew safe because they don't do anything. They just folded their hands and say food will just enter like this. They'll just be like, is there any, do you believe there's somebody like that? So when somebody is telling me I have not been doing anything, it's because they don't know the name for what they've been doing. It's because they don't know the name for what they've been doing. Even if you have been a housewife for 13 years, you have been a home manager. Are you aware? You just don't know the name for what you have been doing. Somebody, the same person saying this now, if you look well, the person maybe have 3 children, doing school run, bringing them up, helping other women in their community to do something. That time that somebody else got pregnant, you went there, you helped them, you showed them how to bathe the child. Well, you don't know the name for what you've been doing. Don't tell me you've not been doing anything. There is nobody under the surface of this earth who, for 13 years, they open their mouth, food enter, they close it like fish, and they don't do anything. True or false? Comment. Comment. True or false? So, the whole point is that you need the knowledge to know how to position yourself for success. That is what is lacking. That is why I say, come to Vantage Scholarship School or go to any other place you can learn it. Because when I say come to Vantage Scholarship School, somebody will think I'm talking to them because I want you to come to Vantage Scholarship School. Yes, I want you to come to Vantage Scholarship School because I know you'll get the best. However, if you have somebody else who can teach you how to do it, go to them. When I was traveling abroad, there was no Vantage migration. When I was traveling abroad, well, there was Dr. Linda, but not the Dr. Linda that you know. Right? The Dr. Linda that existed was the Dr. Linda that did not know how to do the admission by herself. That was the Dr. Linda that existed. I paid agents. Me. So if I say don't pay agents, it's not because I've not tried it. I have done it before. And if you have attended my webinar, you know the story of how that ended. Don't take it the wrong way. Come to Vantage Scholarship School. Come and learn and better your life. But if you have somewhere else where you can learn it, by all means, your pleasure. Go and learn it. What is not acceptable is ignorance. Ignorance is not acceptable. Ignorance is not acceptable. That is what is not acceptable. And you shouldn't accept it. You shouldn't settle for it. Somebody say, she's a nurse, she's 55, she has BSc nursing, she wants to study masters in public health. By all means, my dear, you can get your admission. There's nothing, you can get your admission. You can get your admission. Take that from me. You can, and abroad, nurses is like they should eat you, right? Because you are so interesting. a public health professor, for example, who is working in an area that requires nurses, who sees a nurse, they want to eat you because there are not many of you who have BSc, you know, right? So you are hot cake. Dele is talking about finishing school 2019, results being approved 2021, study gap. Don't worry about it. All these ones are semantics because when you are doing the application, the school will know when you did your study. If there's a study gap of your nature, what it actually takes is a letter of explanation of what happened. That's it. So he graduated 2019, but they are approving his result 2020, 2 years gap. But you see, it's a question of a letter of explanation. If you want to even do the thing, make it sweet, you get it from your school, from your dean. They will write letter of explanation for you. If you want to even go high class, you will make an affidavit of it. Let the lawyer stamp it. Full stop. Problem solved. If you have a problem that is related to study gap that you think is the reason you cannot travel abroad, I bet you just don't know how to solve your problem. And if you don't know, you should go and get knowledge, right? Right place to get Vantage Scholarship School or any other person who will teach you. That's okay. But you have what it takes. You have what it takes. So don't let anybody tell you that you are handicapped because of this, except you don't want to listen to advice. That one is a different thing. I don't even want to work with somebody that doesn't listen to advice. Except you don't want to listen to advice. If you are willing to listen to advice and take action, like this, fast, before somebody will say, Jack Robinson, you have reached where you are going to. Thank you so much, everyone. I'm still looking at. If you have questions, I can take them. However, attend the webinar. I put the link. It's www.vantagemigration.ca. www.vantagemigration.ca. That's the free webinar link. Attend the webinar. Listen. Complete the webinar. Some people, they are so impatient. 30 minutes, they are gone. Then they'll come and start. Is there any other way? There's no any other way. Even the simple way where I give you never do that one. You want to come and collect another way. So attend the free webinar. Complete it, so that you will stay to the question and answer session. That will help make sure that you understood all the questions and answers and everything. Now, if you have extra question, come inbox. Right? If it's on Instagram, it's Dr. Linda Iheme. Is a verified account. If it's on Facebook, you check for Dr. Linda Iheme - only true accounts. Right? So you chat inbox and we're able to reply. I always say that if you're chatting on social media within 24 hours, most times couple of hours, but maximum within 24 hours, you're going to get a reply. If you're emailing me within 3 days, maximum, you're going to get a reply. So you cannot say that it's because nobody answered you. It is because you never asked. You never asked. You kept your question in your mind. Study abroad journey is like a jungle. You're entering the jungle. You can plan for snake, you will see vampire. You understand? You can plan for snake, you will see vampire. You can plan for vampire, you will see ghost. So you can't tell what is going to happen in front. So the easiest way to ensure that you are successful is to know all that you're supposed to know, at least 90% of what you're supposed to know. And then you're on that journey, anything. That's how you now see that, you just get an email from a school, you reply. But maybe if you don't know what to do, your reply will cancel everything. You go and reply there wrongly, you say, who is this one? They'll cancel everything. So, you don't know what you're going to meet in front. You have to be prepared all round. All round. All round. Okay? Don't be one of those people who will be penny wise and pound foolish. Penny wise and pound foolish. I can guarantee you, of course, you know that we give flight scholarship now. So meaning if you travel and you notify us and all that, you can get back up to $1,000. Oftentimes people get something in between, but you can get up to $1,000 depending on what the situation is. Back from us, right? So apart from that, I can guarantee you that going through our program, we ensure that you save more than you paid for the class. I mean, in savings that you will not spend. In savings that you will not spend. This is, I have not mentioned scholarship. I have not mentioned study loan. I have not mentioned any of those things. So, I mean, let's even assume that you just want to get your admission and just go because you have the money to pay for it. The school you will find and the school fees, at least it will be nothing less than £5,000 less than what you will have paid on a normal day. What a friend of yours is going to pay because they don't know how it works. So, guaranteed, you will save your cost fee. Guaranteed first. Then you still come and collect flight scholarship from us. On top, you cannot get full scholarship. How good can it get? How good? What are you still waiting for somebody to do before you will not take action? If this one cannot convince somebody, nothing can convince the person. If you have more questions, chat us inbox. Come to Vantage Scholarship School so that you will learn exactly what to do and how to do it. Alright? Alright, so in summary, what we discussed is for people that have study gap, meaning you graduated more than 2 years ago, just understand that you can turn your study gap into a beautiful flower vase that admission committees will love to add to the pool of people that are admitted. Right? And if your study gap is giving you issues, it's not because of the study gap. It's because you lack experience. You lack the knowledge on how to position yourself to turn your study gap into a blessing for you instead of a curse. Alright? And if you have more questions about this, attend our webinar. If you have finished the webinar, chat inbox. Start Vantage Scholarship School and know exactly how to do it. Once you become Vantage client, you have priority, right? It's like you can ask 1,000,001 question, nobody cares. Like, what I mean nobody cares, nobody's going to tell you stop asking, it's too much. And if water pass Gary, I jump on a call with you. That's what I do. So if you see a Vantage migration client that is opening, like you say, the person never reached out to me. So if the person don't reach out to me, I will not turn to a winch. You see? So if you're a Vantage migration client and you're watching me right now, what you're supposed to be doing is follow the line of communication which you were taught. Yeah. Love you.